video is going to be about the Ryan Newman and Roush Finlay racing deal here. So, Ryan Newman announced that he is going to run for Roush Finlay Racing in 2019. And sorry about the live, I had to go live because I don't got much space on PS4 to record this, but live does not require space. So, but Newman, who has been racing for a long time now, who has 18 career Cup Series victories, one truck career, and he has a few, actually not couple, it's a few more than that, but, Newman, who has raced in the Cup Series full time since 2002, beating out 7-time champ Jimmie Johnson for the Rookie of the Year. So, he's finished second in the standings once. Not to mention he had about a 6-win season, but that's his highest amount of wins in a season, 6 or 8. Can't remember, but his most wins besides that season in 2003, 2004 was 2, and I was like that was 2004, so it was 2003 when he had 8 wins. So it was it shocked me that he was going to leave, because he finished like 2 cars out of the playoffs behind Stenhouse, who will be his teammate next year. So now let's see what this happens. I think it's a great idea for Roush to be signing Newman, who definitely is a good race car driver, who definitely needs to be on a racing competitive team. And Roush is getting back into the point where they're getting better and better. They just have Stenhouse, who's 30 years old, it's still pretty young. That's not like he's real old yet. Newman, who will race the number 6. Now let's talk about Matt Kenseth for a second. Kenseth, for his part-time schedule, sharing the ride with Trevor Bayne, will not be returning. Well, Bayne will not be returning to the number 6 car. Matt Kenseth is not quite said or released what will happen to him, but I'm pretty sure he'll probably stay and race up another part-time schedule. But I say with Matt's career is done, he cannot win another race. I say it's over. He will never be as competitive as he once was for Roush, as Matt Kenseth, as everybody knows, won a championship back in 2003. But yeah, let's go talk about Jimmie Johnson, who has won 7 championships, who Newman competed for Rookie of the Year with, not even close to the stats he says. Jimmie Johnson has 80-something career wins, or 7-something, I can't remember, 80-something, it's too many. But Newman, who has only 18 NASCAR career wins, and has missed the playoffs before. Johnson has never missed the playoffs, or like a talk to be contending a championship except his rookie year. Newman, who isn't a bad driver though. He is not a bad driver, because he's won as many races. Everybody likes Case Kane. Everybody likes Kane, thinks he's one of the best. If you think Case Kane's one of the best, you gotta be thinking Newman's just a little bit better because of his playoffs. He can make the playoffs with a horrible team, because we know how RCR has been for the last few years. Once Harvick left, the team went on a downhill. Finally, they got Newman, who started running average, didn't run that great, and he won 1 race with this team. 1 race so far. We still got a little bit more to go in the season. 1 race for this team. He also raced for Penske. They got you now. Bremy Brakazowski. He was no, he was not teammates with him. But I don't think so. I think it was Kurt Busch that raced the 2 car. But he also raced for Penske. And won a Daytona 500. That's who he raced for. Racing number 12. Number 12. As everybody remembers in years, because that was only really good years he ever had with that team. But he started going on downhill and signed with Stewart-Haas Racing, who's now one of the top 5 best teams in NASCAR, and a lot of people would like to see him return to that team. Stuart Haas, who has all kinds of wins, not to mention a championship in 2014, that was his former team. He finished second to the standings to Kevin Hart. He almost, yeah, he was pretty much released. He was just pretty much released from the team. I was really rooting for him to win the championship. I didn't really want to see Harvick win the championship that year. Because he was released. He didn't get a chance to like race another year. No chance. They wanted Stewart, Danica, Kurt, and Harvick. And Harvick just happened to be the best driver out of all of them, and ended up pulling off some wins that year. Not to mention the year before that, though. I'm gonna keep talking about Jimmy Johnson because it seems like everybody is, because of how Jimmy Johnson dominated in the sport, and how Newman has not necessarily a bust, but not been as great as a lot of people hope. Now, I still think Ryan Newman will make the Hall of Fame. If you think Case Keenum's going to make the Hall of Fame, Newman's going to make it no matter what. Kane's missed the playoffs so many years, and he's gone so many years without a win, that yeah, and Newman, who went so many years without a win, could still make the playoffs, still be in contention for the championship. Now, when he was with Stuart Haas, the team wasn't all that great. They focused on Tony Stewart more than they even focused on Newman. That was where their first mistake went wrong. They would have focused a little bit more maybe on Newman, would have focused both on them really. I think they could have had two teams that would have won races all the time. But then Danica, when she got in there, it was like, let's focus on Danica and Stewart, because they wanted to focus on getting her first career win. That never really happened, but got first career pole. She became kind of a bust, but yeah, but you gotta look at, you know, what if Newman to this day would race for Haas? Yeah, not to mention Case Keenum, he's been a competitive team almost every single year of his career until this year. He's with a minor league team who's making him step up, because they actually ran average, not to make the playoffs, but ran pretty average. But you gotta think though, Newman's going to retire, and he's 40, 41, 40, something like that. I can't remember. I think he's 40. He's not that young, but he's about the same year old as Kevin Harvick. And look at Harvick today. He early on this year won 3 races in a row, and also was being said he was going to win a championship. I really wish Newman would have made the playoffs. When I would have won Alex Bowman. I'm an Alex Bowman fan. I like Alex Bowman. I'm a fan of Ryan Newman too. But I like to see Alex Bowman succeed in sport, and he made the playoffs. That's all you can really say about Bowman right now, because he's not really shown much, and he would be outside the playoffs if Johnson didn't have that one bad wreck. That I still believe that was Kurt Busch, his, and Bowman's. I think it's Bowman. I can't remember. I think it may be Bowman's fault, but alright, but yeah, so he's raced with a lot of teams over the years. He's raced Penske, he raced with Haas, he's raced right now, currently racing for RCR, and this will be his final year racing for RCR. So let's talk about what's going to happen for RCR right now. Daniel Hemrick has been announced the driver of the No. 31 for next year. He races number 8. He'll be racing also in the NASCAR Cup Series race at Roval, which I think is a great move, because he's still young, he's still got potential. But you look at all these Xfinity busts, he's only won like 1 or 2 races. Look how many wins Jimmy Johnson has in Xfinity driver. 1 career win, 7 championships in the Cup Series. Yeah, that's pretty good to show for that. Newman, who I don't think he's ever raced a full-time season in the Truck Series. I don't think he's raced a full-time season in anything but the Cup Series, but he's been really good at the minor leagues in NASCAR, and has won a lot of races in that. Compared all his wins, about 25, 26, maybe 24. But with Hemrick stepping in to race no 31, it's Hemrick who probably will bring his own sponsor along with South Point, whatever that, I can't remember, South Point, something like that, the hotel thing. He'll probably bring that sponsor along to the Cup Series, because Brendan Gaughan, who's currently not, who's racing just half-time, but will not be racing full-time anymore. And that's just it's just great for Hemrick right now. Hemrick needs something like this to happen. He needs something like this to happen, that he can finally get a ride in the NASCAR Cup Series. Now, do I think Hemrick's going to be a bust in NASCAR? For a few years, I don't think he's going to be great. But, we've seen, because they're right now on the team, every single year, it seems like the team that Ryan Newman's on, they focus on somebody else except Penske until they got Kurt Busch. Then they focused on Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch just keeps on replacing him, doesn't he? Because he replaced kind of Penske, replaced him he's replaced him at Haas. I mean, come on. And Newman, I think it's a good pickup for a playoff team. Definitely gonna be a playoff team next year. But it's like but you look at it, he's been with a team that somebody's always focused on him being the second best on our team, or third best, whatever. This year he'll finally have a chance to prove his first best, because they'll probably put him over Stenhouse. Now they might not, we won't know until the season starts, but I'm gonna guess they're putting him over Stenhouse, because Newman's they need a veteran driver. They can't go for another bust in the Cup Series. I know Ryan Reed, I like to see Ryan Reed race in the Cup Series, I like Ryan Reed in the Xfinity Series, but he's just not gonna do it in the Cup Series. He can't even win a race anywhere but Daytona in the Xfinity Series. What thinks he can win a race at, I don't know, Charlotte or Dover, Bristol, Watkins Glen, all them type of races, Kansas. But since he's now he'll probably only at Xfinity races, I'm gonna guess Matt Kenseth will start doing a Xfinity schedule. Matt Kenseth, who's raced for Gibbs and won a lot of races for him, raced for Roush when they were really competitive. Not to mention Roush, back in the early 2000s, they had probably the best race car drivers than any other team. Hendrick would be, I think, only team that would be even close would be Hendrick, and really Rick Hendrick, who right now is going to fall. You watch, they'll be just like Roush in a few more years. They'll be on fall because they won't buy the stuff. Now, I think Roush will turn their team around one of these days, maybe getting a few more wins before he's done with the sport. And I'm going to say Ryan Newman will also give him a win, because if they put Newman first before they put Stenhouse, he's going to win you some races. I think he'll win you a few races. For a few years, he was one of the top guys for Penske for a few. But that was only a few. And I kind of thought Ty Dillon would replace the 31. Now, because of, like I said, he's second, Austin Dillon, he has gotten everything. He's won 2 career races, but field mileage race, didn't even lead a whole entire lap that whole entire race. Wasn't even talked about even being a winner. Still doesn't even talk about being a winner. Dillon's just, he's not that great of a driver in the Cup Series. Now, Xfinity Series, that'd be a whole different story. Austin Dillon, I would say, is a really good Xfinity racer, but his brother Ty, he's just not a NASCAR racer. Ty Dillon, who I thought was going to replace Newman, will not be replacing him at all. He'll be staying probably with German Racing, but what has he done? He's only led maybe 4 laps in his NASCAR career. He's raced since 2017, 2016, and this is only his second year, I know, but he's got we saw Austin's brother winning a pole by now, and he's with a struggling team. I think Austin will win a few more NASCAR races in the Cup Series, but I say he won't be as good, but he'll get to race as long as he wants because he's related to Richard Childress. I'm not that big of a fan of Dillon's, but I will say they were both Ty and Austin were really good Truck Series racers. I didn't really root for them ever in my life. I never really root for him, except when Austin raced in the Xfinity Series, and that's why I kind of root for him. And I root for him then and there when he raced the Xfinity Series, because Austin's not, like I said, always a guy that gets looked over a lot in the Xfinity Series, but in the Cup Series, he gets looked over for a reason, because he just is not that great of a Cup Series racer. Also, news is this will be the first time Newman has raced a. This will be the first time this upcoming year will be the first time he's raced a Ford. He's never raced a Ford. Now, Penske does own Fords now, but they used to own Dodge back when he raced for Penske. So he's just raced a Chevy besides a Dodge. So this will be the first year he's racing a Ford. So it might take Ryan a little while to get used to the car, but I think he'll make the playoffs. Newman does look like he will be an average Cup Series driver if he could just make sure he doesn't have problems. Like this year, he's been wrecking a lot of cars this year for Richard Childress, and he ain't getting released. And thank gosh it's not Kurt Busch taking over, because if it was Kurt Busch, I'd probably be passing out right now. Because Kurt Busch, he's going to be going. Let's talk a little bit about Kurt right now. Kurt Busch has replaced Newman on a lot of two teams really, with Penske. I know Newman raced for Penske for a few more years when Kurt got there, but when Kurt got there, it was over. That was when they started focusing on Kurt and Newman. That's one of the reasons why Newman left. Now, Kurt Busch, who has replaced him at Penske, and Stewart-Haas, will not be returning to Stewart-Haas next year, which kind of shocks me. We've heard this story how many times now that he was not going to return to Stewart-Haas. He said a few years ago, he was not going to return to Stewart-Haas in like 2014 or whatever, after that year, 2015, whatever, but ended up returning anyways to come back, because people were like, oh, he's not going to return. He said he's not going to return, but he ended up returning. Right now, though, I don't really see Kurt doing that well in a few more years. I think he's about done. His career about done. He won one race on the year, and that was it. And he had a few poles. He has a pole for the upcoming race. That's the only highlights he's got, though. One win and just a few poles for this year. That's the only highlights he's got this year. And Newman, who has highlights just being crashes this year, but Newman right now, I think he'll be better than a lot of people think once he gets to Roush. I didn't mean to wreck that guy, but yeah, we're on caution, dang it. Please, no caution. But Newman, who has been racing in NASCAR since 2001 halftime. His highest amount of wins, 8 or 6, can't really remember. And his second highest, 2. 1 year, he only got 2 wins in a year. He's got to get better. He's got to stay focused on winning more and more races, because I say he can get to 20 by the end of his career if he finds a team that wants to put him first. I think Roush from Racing is that team, but right when he starts to decline again and starts not making the playoffs at all, his career is over. He will not be racing. I feel like he'll be racing for Roush or anybody. Now that's just what I got on Ryan Newman. 20-minute video about Ryan Newman. Pretty much maybe his final shot with a NASCAR team that he might be able to win with. I don't know, because Roush has been declining. It has not been as great as a team. 2017 has been its only highlight in the pretty much ever since Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth left. It's been only a highlight because Greg Biffle. Alright, so if you look at all the guys that Roush was like, Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, a lot more than just that. Carl Edwards, a lot more than just that. Kurt Busch, they even had Kurt Busch at one time. It's just not the team that once was. That had so many guys that were dominant, and they dominated for a long time. It just they just couldn't keep up anymore because they don't want to buy all this stuff. But that's what I got on Ryan Newman. On his career currently and going forward, I think he might win a few more races. I say he can get a 20. But I'd just say 20. That's all I got on Ryan. And right now, more updates and all that will be about other drivers like Trevor Bayne. We make one about him for too long. And I really think, you asked me a question about Trevor Bayne, I almost say he's going to be racing in the Xfinity Series, so just wreck that. But I'll say I'll race in the Xfinity Series. So, that's all I really gotta say about Newman. That's all I gotta say. But if you could just compare the stats to the guy he beat out for Rookie of the Year, it's not even close. Did not mean to do that to Reagan. But Reagan, who also raced a 6 car a little while ago, David Reagan, he also raced for Roush. He's not as big as known as he once was. He actually won a few races. He's won 2 career races, one for Roush and one for Team Zat still, but his career is just about over. Yeah, that's about it for what I got on Ryan Newman and his career. See you guys.